Hey everybody, it's Jago here from the Shot Clock Podcast. It's Thursday morning, episode 2 of the Suzanne Maguire interview. We start off by talking about an alternative 5 to the court after she picked her initial 5. And we continue to talk about all things basketball and life in general. I hope everybody's enjoying being back in the sunshine this week and playing outdoors. Big shout out to Tridents, Meteors, Liffey Celtics and Kilcock Tigers, and to my own club Fairhouse. And we had 2 amazing 3-on-3 events during the week. We had 21 teams over the 2 nights, and it was just great to see kids back on the court and back enjoying themselves. Hopefully come next Tuesday we have more of a roadmap, as the government like to call it, and back to the sport that we love and back indoors. And until then, here's Suzanne Maguire.
But let me give you, now that we're just kind of playing around, let me give you my 5 that are the other sports, right? The other sports in basketball, right?
Okay,
so
go on.
These are your players who played multiple sports. So that's your Lindsay Pete, right? Yeah. No one to give Lindsay an intro as to how many sports she's played, but everything with a ball other than hockey she's played. So Lindsay's there, right? You have Angie McNally, who I know you've been talking about and wanting to get on here. Angie, Dublin footballer.
I'm recording Angie's episode tomorrow.
I can't wait to see Angie. Great girl. Juliet Murphy, right? All-Ireland kind of Cork player, played in Limerick or played in Glanmire, but super player. Like gorgeous, just had this kind of finesse about her, but dependable and with strength and so she played down for a number of years and always, in my mind as one of those players who was just under the radar a little bit, but, was playing at a high level for Cork GAA. Who else I have? Aoife McDermott, Limerick, also rugby. Okay, and the last one then would be Louise Galvin, right? Rugby 2, rugby 7s, but would have played with UL. And again, so there's another sports and basketball 5 that, put them up against somebody.
That's some 5 as well.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, I'd love to see Lindsay and Angie play together. It would just be.
Well, I've said for years, Angie McNally was Lindsay Pete before Lindsay Pete was Lindsay Pete. You know what I mean? I remember going to see, it would have been West Coast Coolers against Nave Where I don't know how old I was. I won't tell because I don't want anyone to know other people's ages. But I remember Angie running in at half time and pulling off her Irish soccer jersey and putting on our West Coast Coolers gear, and I'm like, who's she? And it was the hair, it was everything about Angie was just amazing.
Yeah,
it was just different level. Different. Yeah. I cannot wait. There's been a few that I've been really excited about. And I'm so excited about her one because I want to pick her brain. I want to see the similarities between her and Lindsay. I want to see, what both of them, what made them tick, because Lindsay's different level.
They are. And I think they'll have a similarity in how they see themselves in basketball versus how they see themselves in other sports. And I know Lindsay spoke a little bit about that too, about that kind of imposter syndrome. I wouldn't be surprised if Angie talks about the same thing from a basketball perspective, because I just remember that she wasn't the one she had that same tenacity and that same grit and that same fight, but she didn't have that confidence level where she was just, it was kind of like Lindsay too. It was, if you bubble a bit beneath the surface, you realize that they weren't like, I own this, They acted like,
which is hilarious.
Which is unbelievable, isn't it?
Whoever do stuff like that, you're looking at them going, you're going multi-sport international, and you're questioning whether you should be here or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's unreal. But it's at that level that, again, when we talked about, before, fine lines, you need that. There's a fine line between that kind of humility and going over to the other side, which can be counterproductive. So you always have to kind of retain that without it being detrimental to you or knocking you down or pulling you back. But there is that kind of humility and that kind of level where you just need to make sure you don't tip too far.
It's an authenticity, nearly, remaining true to yourself and being authentic to who you are. without
exactly.
without being there, like, look at me, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Like, you know, and there is these fine lines all throughout. You know, your life, your basketball.
I can't wait just to pick our brain.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, shifting gears. Top 5 musical artists of all time. Are you going to use the famous podcast work of I have an eclectic mix?
I was probably the one I haven't really kind of thought too much about, because I could just, you know, I was thinking about it, going like, it's not an artist, right? But 90s R&B just sticks with me as being like my basketball kind of, you know. So that's obviously related to growing up and playing in that kind of era and whatever else. But going to Fordham in the 90s, going to the Bronx in New York, and, you know, all that kind of R&B music is just even more. I mean, you're hearing a lot more of it. Just all of it in my mind just reminds me of basketball and such amazing memories. So that just every time I could be in the car and going around going, oh, say Meg, I want to put on some, and she's there going, oh, jeez, I'm putting some 90s R&B, like, you know. So, you know, I'm putting on everything from, you know, SWV to like Mary J to like, you know, Tevin Campbell to like just On Vogue, like
that's
all
On Vogue. They were different level. They were different.
All of it, yeah, all different. Like, and it just reminds me of being here, and then it reminds me of when I went to the States and playing kind of in college and being around that time. So that's not an artist, but it's just a feeling, it's memory, it's one of those things. The first musical act, band, person myself and my roommate in college ever agreed on, right? I had my Michael Jordan posters, Charles Barkley, blah, blah, on the wall. She had this massive, big Pixies poster, right? I'd never heard of Pixies, right? I since have, and probably have now evolved my musical taste, right? But she had a big Pixie. She was a big, you know, kind of 60s, you know, real kind of flower child, like really kind of loads of that. She was kind of Bob Dylan-y, you know, all that kind of genre. And I was there with my 90s R&B and my basketball, whatever else. The first place we landed on was a band called 10,000 Maniacs, right? So Natalie Merchant is the lead singer now, and forever that album was MTV Live, and then Natalie Merchant since then has become a real favorite kind of act of mine. So that definitely has to be one. Shout out then to, you know, to a lot of people when it comes to saying Dave Matthews Band. Absolutely was my college experience. You know, that was then I started to you know, kind of broaden my musical kind of what I understood and what I knew about music. So Dave Matthews was a real college band. You know, went to see him once in New York, but it was very much what all the college bands were playing in the local pizza shop and all that kind of stuff. So Dave Matthews is certainly one that kind of sticks out. You know, there's so many after that. So when you start to realize the world of music is not just one genre or, you know, one person, then, you know, it can be everything from, you know, Fleetwood Mac to Planet to, you know, to Guns N' Roses to, you know, to, there's just a broad spectrum of acts that can sit there. Very hard to kind of pull out, you know, anything that kind of sticks out. I mean, I go by concerts. I've recently gone to The Cure, you know, again, out of nowhere, my sophomore, junior year in college, a friend of mine gave me a ticket at Radio City Hall, went down there on my own, watched The Cure, like unbelievable. Saw them at Malahide a couple of years ago, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, so it is, if people talk about eclectic, it is like, I think it's just an appreciation, but in the basketball sense,
90s R&B.
all day, every day. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, so this should be an easy one for you then. You're the DJ. What are the last 3 songs we're warming up to?
Yeah, none of them are 90s R&B. Because it can't be, right? So it's a different kind of feeling about this one. Like, but again, I was keeping it old school. I was there going, listen to this, you know, but you'll have a lot more of the younger group on, I'm sure, in times to come, and they'll give you all the latest ones. So I'm going very, very simply. Shout out to my Talca Rovers, you know, first kind of real like team, love them to bits. We're going with MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. Then we're going with Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby.
Wow.
And then we're going with Black Box, Right on Time. So I'm going right in there. That's it. 90s R&B, 90s, you know, kind of like dance music.
Who was on that? Who was on that Talca team that I make sure I get none of them on this podcast? If there's
that's Emer, you know, it's Emer, and that's kind of Kathy Reid, who's now in the UK, and Andrea and Alethea, who are here, and Tara Kennedy and Joanne, Gillian over in the States. So yeah, that was the they were the girls that, you know, yeah, this was our
MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, and Black Box.
Yeah, totally. Put them on that playlist. Wait till they come up.
Look. I'll tell you, the only person whose songs haven't made the playlist are Randall Mounts, because they were three gospel songs. I was like, no, I don't care. At no point is somebody running in layups to a gospel song. The only ones that haven't made it. I added the. Somebody actually tweeted the other day asking what were the last 3 songs the Irish men's team were warming up to for the European. Right. So I've added the 3 of them in. So it was the Coffin song. What was the other 2? Shipping Up to Boston. And I can't remember the third one, but yeah, they're on it now as well. But I'll definitely put these on and cringe every time I play it. I'm just jealous that I didn't pick them. That's all. I've danced to every one of them. You know what I mean? That's my era. Yeah. That's I went to see MC Hammer on his Please Hammer Don't Hurt This tour in the Point. Supported.
Pretty sure we all had a pair of pants, right?
Supported by Snap. That's 1990.
Snap.
Rhythm is a dancer. What a chill. What a chill.
Yeah, you know.
So, over the years, you've had your time in Fordham. As you said, you're over in the States. Amazing college career. Hall of Famer, again, before Fuzzy. Pre-Fuzzy. I'm trying to wind them up because I know he'd be listening. What advice would you give to 16-year-old you if you could sit her down and tell her about everything that's gone on in the last 10 years?
What would I say? I'd say write it down, okay? Because I'm sitting here and you'll ask questions and I'm there going, people will tell stories like, you know, and you're like, oh jeez, I remember that now, or I can't remember parts of that now, or I don't remember it happening like that, or how did that really go? And you're there going, it's just, yeah, write down some of the big stuff, you know, even if it's just a feeling or a song or a moment or, you know, a night out or whatever it may be, but just to kind of, because you'll, like now just looking back and going, God, I can't remember some of that stuff, or it's just not as easy available to me because I didn't write it down. So they're going, write it down, like write down some of this stuff because, you know, you'll want to remember it. I'd say, you know, I've always had this thing, and this is not a criticism of any coach I've ever had. It's probably more of a criticism of me as a player. But I've always said that the good players need to be coached too, right? So you can't let a good player just be a good player, and that means let them do what they want or not develop their skills or not kick on or not whatever it may be. And I had a moment when I was in Fordham where we got an assistant coach in for my junior year. She came from Notre Dame at the time. You know, she played for Muffin McGraw, was the all-time leading scorer at the time. When she left there, was a guard. Came over, and then she came to us. Was in her early 20s, so she had no problem getting on the floor and practicing with us. And she come looking, you know, so who thinks or who's the best player on this team? You're bigger than me. And would just kick the shit out of me, right? And would constantly tell me that I wasn't as good as I thought I was going to be, or as I thought I was. I couldn't do this, so you can do this, but you can't do this. you have to be coachable and you have to look to be coached. So I probably would tell myself that don't just settle. Like, don't just settle when you find that, yeah, you're good at this and people see you're good at this and that's what you do. You know, I've had coaches who obviously have pushed me to go into different boxes. It's how I got to the States, right? Celine Byrne, you know, I walked in there at 6 foot, said you'll be my point guard some days. And they're going, cool, like, you know, or other coaches would only want you to rebound and out at the ball. So I've had coaches who have pushed me to get me into, you know, into a space and develop me as a player to be the player I was. But then there's always, you constantly need to evolve and grow and change. And maybe at some point I stopped thinking that was applicable to me, or that I had to stop learning, or I had to stop kind of kicking on. So part of it is just continue to be coached and look to be coached, look to get better. Don't just stop, you know, continue pushing on. And the last one is just, you know, hold on to the people a little bit tighter. You know, you talked a bit about, and it's true, you can walk into a gym now in Irish basketball and you can see people you played against, played with, you know, beat up or they beat you up, like, and you can go over and you can hug them and you can say hello and all that kind of good stuff. And that's always going to be there. It's the great thing about basketball in Ireland. Certainly, it could be in all sports, but me only knowing basketball, it's a big thing about our community. But I think over the years of moving between here to the States, coming back, and then I was back over there for a while and come back, and then, you know, shifting around teams, I just didn't hold on to kind of people as close or kind of nurtured those kind of friendships as good as I should have. So I probably would say just be mindful of that. Like, the people who are there, people, your teammates, the people who are around, they will always be around, but you can't take that for granted all the time. So just nurture that and hold on to them a little bit closer. So that would be my advice to myself.
Super advice. Like, that's, yeah, that's, it's inspirational. Like, that's holding on to what's around you. Absolutely hold on. Yeah. Be more coachable. Absolutely. Like, I think we were all guilty of that. You get to a point where you believe your own press and you go, you know what? I know everything. I know it all. There's always somebody better than you. There's always somebody younger than you coming up.
Yeah, just the appetite kind of needs to you need just something to always kind of push you on. I see it now with some of the younger players where I'm like, going, the appetite and some of the stories certainly around some of the younger guys, like the likes of Sean Flood. I don't know Sean, but my understanding of his story to get to what he got to get to the States, which was his dream, incredible amount of application. And now for me, if I was having a conversation with the likes of that players, kick on, you know, you haven't achieved the dream, you've achieved part of it, but there's more to come, like, so you keep on kicking on. So, and not to say that he's not like that, but it's an example of just, you know, there's different steps and different points and different targets. You know, it doesn't just, you hit the first one, that's it, right? There's the next one, the next one after that one. So it's just to keep on pushing on, because you really don't know where it could take you, you know, in your life, or, you know, in your basketball career. So yeah, absolutely.
Super advice. Second last question. This is what they're flying through. Like, I'm like, Jesus, really? Second last question. Dead or alive, 5 dinner guests, friends, family, or famous. Who are you sitting down with for dinner?
So we'll start with, you know, I've a massive big love for kind of film, TV, kind of theater. Like, so I did a stint in DCU, did a master's in film, and I was in New York for a while. I worked with a ticketing agent for Broadway theaters, so a lot of theater. Chased Judi Dench around the bar. It's a whole different story. But listen, I didn't catch her. But so my love of film, my love of kind of that genre, whatever else, probably my first guess would be Jodie Foster, who's been I've been a big fan of since, you know, and obviously, like, it's someone who's been, she's only in her 50s and has been in the industry for 50 years or something like that, right? So incredible, smart, you know, very interesting story, very interesting backstory, the whole Reagan thing, the whole shooting it, all that kind of stuff. Like, so there's an awful lot just in there. So, and she's just, you know, she's just deadly. Like, so Jodie would be there. Then, because you can't bring everybody, you have to bring Oprah. right? Because Oprah has met everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring Oprah there, and Oprah tells you all the scoop on everyone else, and then you bring Oprah Winfrey in there. Because life was always good when Oprah was on TV, right? Life got pretty shit when Oprah came off TV, so maybe there's something there. Like, so we bring Oprah just for the scandal. Like, she
knows it all.
The scoop on everybody, right? So no one she doesn't know. Who else am I bringing there? So what else do I have? So I'm bringing. I know again. I did watch Lindsay's episode, and you know she got me on 2 questions, but I bring Pat Summit also. With similar reasons too, you know, we're looking at, you know, coaches and stories, and starting from absolutely zero, being asked to come and coach a team, play on a team, do the washing, drive the bus. You know, we're talking about, this is where the dynasty started from, where the records kind of originated from humble beginnings. Incredible story, and just, you know, incredible impact on so many players. It is truly inspirational. So we'll bring Pat there. We'll bring the notorious RGB, because now I studied criminal justice in Fordham. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the second Supreme Court woman on the second woman on the Supreme Court of the United States, and probably one of the most powerful women in the world, unbeknownst to many people. But you just love how the notorious RBG got her day in the last number of years before she passed away. So I bring her simply, again, when you talk about women in law, bring them back to the 40s and 50s when there was no one in law school. She had a child, she had a husband, you know, going through law school and just doing things that weren't done. You know, I think that again is kind of the theme for me with these dinner guests, is all these women who've done things that which never were done before. And then you kind of bring Molly Shannon or someone like that for a bit of lighthearted humor, like, so you need to have a bit of that. So I'll bring Molly into, you know, or Tina Fey or one of those to come in there and just, you know, liven us up when we go down.
Keep everybody smiling.
Exactly, yeah. To lighten it up, when we get too broody about stuff, but yeah. So it'll be an all-female. Let's bring the girls together. Let's celebrate them, and some good stories and a few laughs. So that's my dinner guests.
So following on, what are we having?
I'm not cooking. We're ordering.
Who's cooking and what are we having?
I know. We'll order from Chapter 1. I'm sure they do delivery.
Yes. Chapter 1 would be a good shout. Now the new head chef, Michael's moved from the greenhouse over to Chapter 1. It's going to be a very interesting reopening.
I actually have reservations in September. It's a birthday gift for Megan that dates back a while, but it just kept getting cancelled. But yeah, we're going September, so that's
Michael is just different level of chef. Different.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you're in for a treat. You're in for an absolute treat.
Great. Yeah.
So last question. Look, before we move on to this one, I want to say thanks. We eventually got here. You know what I mean?
We did get here. Thank you.
Again, I've been looking forward to this one because of your career and everything you've done, and we kind of played parallel to one another for a lot of years. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, you know, you went stateside, I stayed, all of those little, you know, changes. And then to know that you were coaching, like, with a friend of mine way back when, was great as well, because I got to hear how you were doing as well. So, yeah, really look forward to this one. So delighted I finally got you on.
Thank you for your patience, Jago. Thank you for your patience.
Jesus, you're probably the first woman ever to say I have patience. So, who would you like to see on the podcast? Don't say Sharon Kelly.
I won't say Sharon Kelly, but Sharon Kelly, you know, but like, you know, I think, and you alluded to it, like, so I think there's stories that just need to be kind of told. I think Susan's story is something that this generation has to kind of connect in with a little bit, like, you know. But I think I think I texted you before and said, like, let's, you know, I'm part of a generation that's, you know, has, and before I get into this, it was great to see that photograph of Mark Keenan, Claire winning it on the shoulders of Alan and Jerome, and then the coach standing there, and just that reminded me there a lot about that kind of just how this all kind of plays through, like that connection, you know, from generations back, and all of that kind of foundation and all of Mark's journey to get to where he was, you know, over the weekend, which was fantastic. So for me, it's kind of like it's time for us, you know, and the people you've had on, it's been brilliant. I should have mentioned actually when you said about the dinner guests, like, you know, actually before even getting the aspirational ones, I kind of want to get the Wild Rovers out for dinner, like, you know, because this has been really, your podcast has been great, because to see and hear these stories again has just been amazing. You know, it's been really, really cool. It's time for us now to let the next generation step in. Like, so I'm saying, get those girls in, you know, like I was saying to you, get the Sorka, the Danas, the Claires, the Bronas, you know, the Maguire, get that next generation to tell you not what they've done, but where they're at, right? They're not looking back, they're actually in it, you know, and seeing how they're thinking or what motivates them or what their challenges are, because they have a chance to correct and to go somewhere. We're looking back and saying, you know, hopefully not too many what ifs and whatever else. Like, I certainly don't have any regrets. I mean, delighted with my journey in basketball, but some people might, and you have a chance now to talk to these girls where it's like, you're in it, like you're in the best years, you're in this stage. Like, what are you thinking? How are you feeling about it? Like, what do you need? You know, it'd be interesting to hear their stories because they're still in it. So yeah, I think, you know, keep on bringing the old schoolers back, because I love hearing their stories. But let's look at the generation that we have coming forward too, and let's hear theirs.
Yeah, I've got some interesting things that I can't announce at the minute.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've got some up and coming players. I've got some players who recently headed stateside, who may be related to one another, who may be all gone to the same school.
Fair enough. Maybe. Wouldn't know who that is. I wouldn't have a certain anything like mine.
But yeah, look, I am trying to. I want to try and start bringing like a Tuesday old school, Thursday new school, and just you know, give people something to look forward to. As I said to you, I'm lucky enough, and I feel very grateful. I've got an amazing under 16 girls team who are like sponges right now. They just want. They've got the bug over the summer. I had Hannah Thornton down at our little camp. She presented some certificates to the kids, and it was just to see my under 16 team's faces when she just walked in. It's that, you know, I know her. She, you know, it's that, you know, starstruck. And I remember being that starstruck when I met Lenny for the first time. You know what I mean? And now I ended up playing with him. You know, it's just, how did that happen? But yeah, so yeah, that's the plan. The plan going forward is more coaches, more new school, and always tipping our hat to that, you know, amazing history that we have in this country of Irish basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've talked a little bit about, I heard the question a couple of times that you've talked about this, you know, the golden era, and why was that the golden era, and why isn't it not this one and whatever else. And, you know, got me thinking about it. I think, like most golden eras, like even like in Hollywood or whatever else, it's not necessarily to do with the talent. It doesn't mean it was better. It just means there was something special. There was something that just sprinkled some kind of, you know, magic dust on it at the time, because it was a different age, a different era. We didn't have lots of the distractions or outlets that we have now. So, you know, we had basketball. It was very much our full lives, you know, social lives, as well as everything else. Like, so it's, I suppose when you talk about the golden era, I think it's just, like I said, it's no disrespect to anyone who's doing anything in basketball now. It was just a little bit special. Like golden eras are, doesn't make it better or worse. It was just, you know, sprinkled with something that was a little bit different.
To be fair, I think we're into a new golden era.
Yeah, it's a new era, and it'll be different, and it'll be known for something completely different, and probably for, you know, the accolades and the achievements and all of that, which is hopefully where we're heading toward. That's what we want to see. So it'll be its own kind of era, like, you know, so it doesn't take from one. It's just, like I said, a little bit different, and they're all different, but it's a great phase we're heading into. So that's the main thing, is it's the right place. We're in the right place, going the right direction.
Absolutely. Look, best of luck in the coming season. No doubt
we'll
cross paths at some point.
I look forward to it. You can
buy me a pint as well. Thanks a million for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
You're more than welcome. Thanks, Jacob.
No bother. So there you go. There's the second part of Suzanne's interview. Absolutely fantastic interview. Another one that I was really looking forward to doing. Her choice of music, questionable. But hey, look, 90s bangers nonetheless. And who doesn't love a bit of Vanilla Ice? Like, let's be fair. And until Thursday, this is Jago saying, I'll see you on the court soon.